Hello, and welcome to this lesson on conditional rendering in Svelte. In this video, we'll learn how to render elements based on the result of a conditional evaluation. When building applications, you'll often have to render HTML elements based on a certain condition. Svelte makes conditional rendering easy with three special statement blocks: the if conditional block, the else if ladder block, and the else fallback block. Svelte uses statement blocks for things like conditional or iteration rendering. Statement blocks are made up of open and close block tags. An opening tag is a hash wrapped in a pair of curly braces, and a closing tag is a /, also wrapped in curly braces. Following the hash symbol is the type of statement we want to use, like a conditional if statement. Depending on the statement type, there may be an extra expression in the opening tag. Finally, between the open and close tags, we specify the code we want to execute. A statement block can have multiple parts, with inner statement blocks. Inner statement block tags use a colon operator before the statement type and may or may not use an expression. They're always part of a statement block and cannot stand on their own. The if conditional block is a statement block, and it evaluates if a given expression is true or false. If the condition proves true, elements we specify in the block will be rendered. And if the condition proves false, those elements won't be rendered. An if block uses the if keyword as its statement type and the condition we want to evaluate as the block's expression. For the execution code, we specify the elements we want to render if the condition proves true. To demonstrate, we'll test if a number is 0 and render a heading if it is. Let's start in the script section and define a constant called num. We'll set its value to 0 so that the condition will prove true. Now for the if block. Open curly brace, hash if, and a close curly brace. Then, open curly brace, / if, and a close curly brace. We want to check if the number is 0, so in the opening tag, we say num == 0. Inside the block, we add the element we want to render. So, h1 tag, and then, the number is 0. If we save and head over to the browser, we'll see that the heading is rendered. Let's go back to the editor and change num to something else, like 1. Now, the condition becomes false, and if we check in the browser, the paragraph won't render. Any additional evaluations that the if block doesn't cover is expressed in the else if ladder. An else if ladder is an inner statement. It uses a colon, else, and space if as the statement type, followed by the condition we want to evaluate. To demonstrate, let's build on our previous example and add two checks to see whether the number is positive or negative. So, below the h1, we do curly braces, then colon, else, space if. The condition is num < 0. We'll just render an h1 again, with text that says, the number is less than 0. For the second check, we'll select these two lines, then duplicate them down with Shift, Alt, and the down arrow key. In the condition, we'll change the less than operator to a greater than operator. And change the text in the h1 from less than to greater than. Finally, let's change the number to something other than 0. We'll pick 5. If we save the file and take a look in the browser, we'll see it renders the heading that says greater than 0. We can go back to the editor and change 5 to -5. Then, it will render the heading that says less than 0. The else block is a catch-all fallback for any expressions that aren't covered by the if or else if blocks. An else fallback is also an inner statement and uses colon, else, as the statement type. It doesn't use a condition because it will catch anything that doesn't match the conditions above it. To demonstrate, let's add a check to our example to see if the number is actually a number and not something like a string. We don't have to do a data type check, we can just use the else to catch anything that's not a number. So, curly braces, else. Then another heading that says, the value is not a number. Let's also change the num variable to something that's not a number, like a string. We'll save and go to the browser. Okay, it renders the heading that says the value is not a number, so it works like we expect. Alright, that concludes this lesson on conditional rendering in Svelte. In the next video, we'll learn how to render elements in a loop within each block. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.